إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير حج محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Now, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are able to reach the 19th day of fasting, which makes this the 20th night of Ramadan. Remember that the night precedes the day. So Thursday night, when Ramadan began, was the first night of Ramadan. This is why the Taraweeh is started on the first night of Ramadan, which means now they will be on the 20th Al-Jaza, or the 20th Juz of the Quran. All right, in terms of that. So this plays a significant role in terms of people who are making i'tikaf and those who want to guard the last 10 nights for seeking out Lail Qadr, which will be our topic today, bi-idhnillah. To understand the important role of this, we covered the ahadith in Buloogh Muram min Kitab al-Siyam, from the book of fasting, dealing with seeking out, dealing with the rules and ahkam of making i'tikaf, and that the Prophet ﷺ will begin his i'tikaf, and he will begin on the 21st night, not the 21st day. Even though the hadith Aisha radhiyallahu anha mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ, after praying Fajr, he would seek out the place where he was set up for the i'tikaf. So understanding the night precede the day is an essential rule. So for those of you who want to seek out the last 10 nights, then it starts on the 21st night, not the 21st day. Okay, so that means that Wednesday night will be the 21st night. Okay, and Thursday day will be the 21st day. Do you understand? It's a difference. So do not think that that's waiting for the 21st day to be that. No, because that night of Thursday will be the 22nd night. All right. And alhamdulillah, we wanted to just mention that we have a beautiful, alhamdulillah, we reached the section, we're at the end of Kitab al-Siyam, so now we're dealing with the hallmark of Ramadan. The hallmark of Ramadan, many people do not lose courage. Sheikh Ibn Baz, he made a beautiful statement. He says that I advise the people in the first 20 days of Ramadan, and the first 20 days of Ramadan, is to take it lightly. Do not go too heavy and far as staying up late at night. Why? Because you need your energy, inshallah ta'ala, for the last 10 nights, which you do not supposed to go to sleep. All right, so from Isha up to Fajr, you're supposed to be up doing the following: either reading the book of Allah, either making dhikr, either offering salat, either offering dua, either doing some type of righteous actions, listening to some lectures, benefiting. This is what you're supposed to spend your nights doing for until Fajr come up, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he talks about Lail Qadr twice in his book. He have a whole surah dedicated to Lail Qadr, and I believe it's surah 95, and he also have a whole he has surah 97, F1. He have a whole surah dedicated to surah Qadr, and he has some verses that he dedicates in the beginning of Dukhan, which is surah 44. Allah Jalla wa Ala mentions this. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. For surah Dukhan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hameem. وَالْكِتَابِ الْمُبِينِ إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ إِنَّا كُنَّا مُنذِرِينَ فيها يفرق كل أمر حكيم أمرا من عندنا إنا كنا مرسلين رحمة من ربك إنه هو السميع العليم. In these following verses, Allah Jalla wa Ala, he highlights the beauty, the issue dealing with Laylatul Qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts off with Hamim, the letters of the Quran, which only Allah Jalla wa ala knows the wisdoms and purpose upon putting those letters, which are from the Huruf Hijaiyya. Alright, they're known as the letter of Muqati'ah. They are the separate letters that comes in the Quran. Allah Jalla wa ala says, Wal Kitab al Mubin. And no doubt the book is Mubin. The book is that which makes things clear. So those who don't know, one of the characteristics of the Quran is to make things clear. Something is fadl or something is not clear to you, or metal or something like that, then you know that the book of Allah makes things clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed we have sent it. Here the ha, which is the pronoun, is going to refer back to the Quran. Indeed we have revealed it. We have sent it down during what? A blessed night. Laylatul Mubarakah. That blessed night is the shahid. That is the Laylatul Qadr. Allah have sent down this during a blessed night, right? Where He says, Fiha yufraku kullu amrun hakim, wherein Allah Jalla wa ala has decreed all of the ordainments. He have laid down the ordainments on this night. So you can see how magnificent this night is. Allah Jalla wa ala says, as a command from us. All right? I mean, indeed, we are ever warning mankind as a command from us. Indeed, we are ever of those who sent the messengers as a mercy from your Lord. Indeed, He is the what? As-Samir, the one is the all-hearer, and Al-Alim, the one is the all-knower. Allah Jalla wa ala has a whole surah that He dedicates in Surah 97, which is known as Surah Qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدريك في ليلتك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. So in this surah, Allah Jalla wa ala, He mentions some beautiful points that we're going to take from Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, explaining some beautiful points from Surah Al-Qadr, which is Surah 97. Allah Jalla wa ala, He says, indeed we have sent it down fi laylatil qadr. All right? In Surah Al-Dukhan, Allah Jalla wa ala said we sent it down during a blessed night. So this night is not only blessed, but now Allah give us the name of that night, Laylatul Qadr. Okay, He give us the name of that light. Why? Because Allah says, Fiha yufraku kullu amrun hakim. That in that night, Allah Jalla wa ala did what? He set and decree all of the what? All of the ordainments. So this is important to understand. Some of the people that tafsir, meaning the provisions of mankind. Allahu a'lam. All right. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he comments on this, and he explains a beautiful point in the beginning, saying that the ha here, which is for those who know Arabic, anzalnahu. Who? The ha here is a pronoun, and that pronoun refers back to who? He says the damir here, it refers back, when you say inna, that refers back to Allah, but the ha refers back to the Quran. And Allah Jalla wa ala mentioned Himself out of greatness when He says inna, meaning the na, which is another pronoun, refers back to Allah, and Allah mentioned it out of greatness. And then when He says the ha, it refers back to the Quran. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azim alladhi la shay'un a'zamu minhu. One of the things about Allah, He is the magnificent. There is nothing greater than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is not the greatest. All right, we don't say the greatest, a superlative degree. We don't say that. We say on a more higher level, He's greater. You have Muhammad Ali who was saying that he was greatest. All right, no, there's nothing compared to Allah Azza wa Jal. Akbaru min kulli shay. All right, that's the understanding. Shaykh Uthaymeen says when we say Allahu Akbar, we mean it Akbaru min kulli shay. All right, that's what that means, meaning He's greater than anything you can imagine. He's greater than anything you can perceive. All right, so he says here, he says, Wallahu ta'ala yadkuru nafsuhu ahyana bi sigatil udma mithlu hadhihi ayat al-karima. And sometimes in the Quran, you learn about Allah. And one of the things that you learn about Allah is how to properly address Him. because you have to address him in the same manner that he addressed himself. And sometimes we don't realize what the Quran serves or its purposes. You can learn a lot of benefits. If you want to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all you have to do is read the book of Allah. You can read the book of Allah and see how Allah deals and addresses with himself. So sometimes Allah Jalla wa Ala might mention himself with udma, mithli, like this ayat, meaning he might mention the pronoun, na, which would be the third person. And if Allah mentioned the third person, sometimes he say nahnu, meaning himself. But when he mentioned the third person, it's out of udma, it's out of greatness, okay? It's out of magnifying himself. So we have to understand sometimes, mu'adhimu li nafsi. It is venerating, honoring himself. Even though Allah Jalla wa Ala is the one who gave the order. The angels did not give the order. They did not send down this. Nothing along with Allah. Only Allah did. But Allah might mention that sometimes. So to understand that, Allah mentioned it. He says here, he says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr is like the statement of Allah when he says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. And the reason why it's like this is because Allah Jalla wa Ala, he starts off with inna nahnu. Here he's using the third person. And these are all pronouns, but they referring back to Allah. So it's similar. Inna anzalnahu. Indeed we have. Indeed we have. Did what? Nazzalna dhikr. We have sent down the dhikr. One of the names of the Quran is called dhikr. Wa inna. And we have what? Taken upon? Lahu lahafidhun. Meaning that we're going to guard it and protect it. The ha there is referring to the Quran. It's going back to the dhikr, which is the Quran. Alright? He says also, similar to Allah's statement, Inna nahnu nuhyi al-mawta wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum fi surah Yasin. Allah Jalla wa Ala said, and we give life to the dead. And we write down everything that the footsteps, everything, we trace everything down, the footprints, whatever, in their footprints. What you do. Wa kullu shay'in ahwaynahu fi imam al-mubin. And everything is detailed in what? In a clear book. And sometimes Allah Jalla wa Ala he mentioned the siga which is by himself, where he might say innani ana. Now he might use the pronoun which is the mutakallim, speaking of himself, okay, the first person pronoun. Innani ana Allahu la ilaha illa ana. Now Allah is talking directly using the first person. Indeed I am Allah. None has the right to worship except I. So worship me. Wa aqima salati lidhikri fi surah Taha. Wa dhalika li annahu wahidun azim. Alright, and that is because Allah Jalla wa Ala is wahidun azim. Let's stop here. What did we just learn? I know I'm speaking a little bit fast, but what did you just learn? You just learned that Allah Jalla wa Ala, sometimes when he used the third person, is out to venerate himself. And sometimes he can use the what? The first person, which is like I. Alright? It's still Allah, the third or the first. Alright? But when he used the third, it's out of what we call mu'adhim li nafsi. He is actually renifying and magnifying himself. Alright? He is magnifying himself. This is another form of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, what are you learning? You're learning some balagha here. You're learning how eloquent the Quran is. Do you understand that? You're learning how eloquent the Quran is. Because Allah says, inna nahnu. By placing that nahnu there, he doesn't have to place that there. But it's out of eloquence that Allah placed it there, which restricts it there. It's another rule in Arabic. This is why it's important to understand Arabic. He says here, باعتبار الصفة يأتي ضمير عظمى وباعتبار وحدانية يأتي ضمير واحد. He says, so consideration, sometimes the sifa might comes in the form of greatness where he be talking to the third person. And sometimes the considerations be given in the first person when Allah Jalla wa Ala is talking about himself. So let's get to the point where he says, أَنْسَوْنَاهُ. So now here Allah Jalla wa Ala, he mentioned the ha, it refers to the Quran. وَلَمْ يَسْبِقْ لَهُ ذِكْرٌ. Alright, even if it did not precede, even if the mention of the Quran did not precede it, all right? Because in this surah, Allah doesn't start off with Quran, right? So he doesn't mention anything about the Quran. So how do we know the ha is talking about the Quran? That's what the Shaykh is saying. How do we know inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr? How do we know that the ha there is talking about the Quran? There's no mention of the Quran before it, right? Right? It's a mention in Dukhan though. He says Hameen wal kitab al mubin, right? About the book that make things clear, right? Inna anzalnahu, right? So now we know that the ha can refer back to the book. But here in this surah, it's not there. So how do we know that? He says here, he says, لِأَنَّ هَذَا أَمْرُ مَعْلُومٌ. He says, this is a fear that is well known. وَلَا يَمْتَرِي أَحَدٌ فِي أَنَّ مَرَادْ بِذَلِكَ إِنزَالَ الْقُرْآنِ الْكَرِيمِ. So no one should come along and doubt now that what's intended by that is the sending down or revealing of the noble Quran. أنزله الله تعالى في ليلة القدر. Allah revealed it on the night of decree. فما معنى أنزله في ليلة القدر? What does it mean that he revealed it in the night of decree? What does it mean? Did he reveal the entire Quran? Did he reveal the entire Quran on the night of decree? What does it mean? He says the correct meaning is that he began the revelation. He began the beginning of revealing it, sitting it down in في ليلة القدر. وليلة القدر في رمضان لا شك في هذا الدليل ذلك قوله تعالى. And Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. And there's a reason why he's going to say this, because there are some people out there who don't believe that Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. Yes, there are people out there that believe that it's not in Ramadan. Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. And he said the proof of that is the statement of Allah when he says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The شهر رمضان الذي, here it is, شهر رمضان. The month of Ramadan, wherein what? Unzila fihi al-Quran, where the Quran was revealed. So the month of Ramadan was the month in where what? Laylatul Qadr is residing. And that's the proof that he used to say that Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. إلى هذه الآية إن أنزلناه في ليلة القدر تبين أن ليلة القدر في رمضان. He says, so with this we know that what? That which has been famously reported by some of the commoners, okay, that the Laylatul Qadr, it is the night, it is the Laylatul Nisfu min Shahr. It is the middle night, all right, which will be probably the 16th. It's the middle night of the month of Sha'ban, which precedes the month of Ramadan. And we know that this is no origin for that. There is no origin for that. He says, وَلَا حَقِيقَةَ لَهُ. There's no reality to it. He says, فَإِنَّ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ فِي Ramadan, right, as we just established, right, and we see the Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. وَلَيْلَةُ النِّصْفِ مِنْ شَعْبَانَ كَلَيْلَةِ النِّصْفِ مِنْ Rajab. Because he says that in the night of, the middle night of the month of Sha'ban is just like any other night. It's like the middle night in the month of Rajab, the month of Jamada, Rabi' wa Safar, wa Muharram, or any other months other than any other months. لَا تَقْتَصُ بِشَيْءٍ. There's nothing specific to that night. There's nothing specifically laid out or designated from the acts of worship to that night. He says, حتى ما ورد في فضل قيام فيها. He said, even what has been reported about offering night prayer during that night, in the middle of the night, the middle night of the month of Sha'ban. All right. He says there have been reports that a person should offer some type of night prayer, like how you would do in Ramadan. Right. He says, فهو أحاديث ضعيفة. All of these ahadiths are weak. لا تقوم بها حجة. We cannot use them to establish any evidence. وكذلك ما ورد في تخصيص يومها وهو يوم النصف من شعبان بصيام فإنها حديث ضعيفة لا تقوم بها حجة. And he says, likewise, that which has been reported from singling out its day, which is the middle day of the month of Sha'ban, with fasting. All right, a person fasting for the middle of the day. See how they try to make this a celebrated day, a day that where some act of worship need to be connected to it. He said that there is the ahadith contained in this are weak, and they cannot be used to stand or to establish any proof. لكن بعض العلماء رحمه الله يتساهلون في ذكر أحاديث ضعيفة فيما يتعلق بالفضائل. Pay attention to this point here. He says some of the people of knowledge, they have become a little bit lax. They have become a little bit lax in terms of mentioning weak ahadiths when it connects to virtues. When it connects to virtuous things, these are one of the things they say that it's permissible to use weak ahadith as long as you do not associate it to the Prophet ﷺ, but if it's agreement to that which is a virtuous act. They have become that bil fada'il. He said fada'il a'mal, meaning the virtuous acts, righteous acts, or months, or places. وَهَذَا أَمْرُ لَا يَنْبَغِي. The Sheikh said that this is something that is really not needed. We don't need to do that. He says, وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّكَ إِذَا سَقَطَ أَحَادِيثُ ضَعِيفَةٌ فِي فَضْلِ شَيْءٍ مَا فَإِنَّ سَامِيَ سَوْفَ يَعْتَقِدْ أَنَّ ذَلِكَ صَحِيحٌ. And he said the reason why, because if you start utilizing those weak ahadith, then the person will start to believe that those ahadith have some merit, and that they are true, and that they are authentic. So you shouldn't not even use the ahadith so that you don't confuse the people. Basically what he's saying. He says, he says, and he began to associate them with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that becomes a grave thing. All right. So what's important is that the middle day of the month of Sha'ban and the middle night of the month of Sha'ban, there's nothing specifically laid out from any acts of worship for that month besides any other months. Right. So that middle night in the month of Sha'ban, there's no virtues connected to it by praying, and there's no virtue connected to it in the day by fasting, nor is the night of decree. نعم. He says شهر شعبان ثبت السنة بأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يكثر الصيام فيه حتى لا يفطر منه إلا قليلا. Now he brings the authentic We already covered this. You can go back about I think about five ahadiths. For those who are following this, we already covered that answer. We dealt with that. Specifically, we dealt with the rules of fasting the 6 days. We dealt with the qada. When do you make up your days? And it's all in that class. So inshallah ta'ala, if I get a chance to go back and look in the comment section, I will tag you into the video. But we dealt with that with Buloogh Muram. We covered those ahadiths, and the question that you asked, you can find it in there. Bi'idhnillah. He says, so here he's mentioning that the authentic view of what the Prophet ﷺ actually did in the month of Sha'ban, he brings that. Yes, it's authentically confirmed that the Prophet ﷺ will fast majority of the month of Sha'ban. This is something that's authentically reported from the Prophet ﷺ, all right? And he will not break his fast except for a few. And anything besides that, which has been connected to fasting in the month of Sha'ban, right, has not been established from the Prophet ﷺ, except that which the Prophet ﷺ already what? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned the virtue of fasting 3 days out of every month. All right, and some of the ulama say if those 3 days coincide with the ayyamul bid, the white days, then that is preferable. Coming in the middle, as Sheikh bin Baz mentioned, we covered this already as well. So he says, when Allah says fi laylatul qadr, in the night of Laylatul Qadr. من العلماء من قال القدر هو الشرف كما يقال. They say, so the meaning of Qadr, some of the ulama, they say that it means it is هو الشرف, it is nobility. كما يقال, as it said, فلان ذو قدر عظيم. So and so is well is highly noble. So and so is highly noble, right? Al ذو قدر كبير, or he's greatly noble. I do sharafin kabir, meaning he's noble, like he's magnified nobly, right? وَمِنَ عُلَمَاء مِنْ قَاءَ مَرَادُ بِقَدْرِ التَّقْدِيرِ. And from some of the people of knowledge, they say that no, what the meaning of qadr here is the decree, the determine, the arrangement, the ordainment. He said, لِأَنَّ يَقْدُرُ فِيهَا مَا يَكُونَ فِي سَنَةٍ لِقَوْلِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Because what has been decreed or determined in regards for that year, as it comes in the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, we recited this verse in the beginning. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. Indeed, we have sent it, meaning the Quran, down on a blessed night. Inna kunna mundirin, and indeed we are ever warners. Fiha yufraku kullu amrin hakim. Whereas therein we have what it has clarified or have determined everything. Yufraku kullu, every preordainment. All right. I yufsilu wa yubayyinu, meaning that it has explained in detail and clarified. He says what is correct is that both of these, meaning it being noble and it being for the decree, is both of them can be included in the meaning. Both meanings are sound. All right. He says for Laylatul Qadr la shak annaha dhatu qadr azim. There's no doubt that the Laylatul Qadr, Allah called it Laylatul Mubarakah. All right. He called it a blessed night. There's no doubt that it's full of nobility. All of the virtues that's pertaining to it. It's the hallmark of Ramadan. And many people, wallahi, man, they miss out on Laylatul Qadr. You go through the whole month of Ramadan, you don't see all of the virtues pertaining to Ramadan. If you're still stuck on fast for Ramadan, then you're missing the whole beautiful point of Ramadan. There's so many virtues pertaining to it. And one of the highlighting points is the Laylatul Qadr, that the Prophet wives, they mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ, as our mother Aisha said, when the last 10 nights would come, the Prophet ﷺ he would tighten up his izar. And we already covered this hadith. As Sheikh Fawzan said, many of the ulama, they said that what? It meant that he would withdraw from his woman. He would withdraw from his woman. He would not have relations with them. He would focus and preoccupy himself. Hence, he would do i'tikaf. He would do seclusion. So that he can yataharra. That's the hadith we're on today. Yataharra, so that we can seek out diligently, trying to reach and ascertain Laylatul Qadr. He says وأنه يقدر فيها ما يكون في تلك السنة من أحياء وإماتة وأرزاق وغير ذلك. Also, that which has been decreed for that year, such as who's going to live, who's going to die, the provisions and other than that. All right, is also known for Laylatul Qadr. All right. ثم قال جل وعلا, then Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ قَدْرٍ. And what will make you know what Laylatul Qadr is? Here's Allah Jalla wa Ala trying to get the people attention. make them alert to Laylatul Qadr. This is similar in throughout the whole Quran, where Allah Jalla wa Ala used this same thing when He says Al-Haqqa. This is another name which is for Yawm al-Qiyamah, for the Day of Judgment. Allah call it Al-Haqqa because it's definitely a reality. وَمَا Al-Haqqa. I mean, Mal Haqqa. What would make you know what the sure reality is? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحَاقَّ. And what would make you come to know what the sure reality is? So Allah used this same type of sentence throughout the Quran to call the person, alert the person. As Shaykh Uthaymeen is saying here, he says that هذه الجملة بهذه الصيغة يستفاد منها تعظيم وتفخيم وهي مطردة في القرآن الكريم. قال الله تعالى وما أدراك ما يوم الدين ثم ما أدراك ما يوم الدين. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, and what will make you come to know about the Yawm al-Din? Alright? Then what will make you come to know about the Yawm al-Din? Al-Haqqa, as we mentioned, Al-Qari'ah, Mal Qari'ah, wa ma adraka mal Qari'ah. Allah used the same sentence structure, all right, in multiple places in the Quran. He said that this is tafkhim wa ta'zim, فهنا قال أي ما أعلمك ليلة القدر وشأنها وشرفها وأدمها ثم بين هذا بقوله, meaning what will make you know the night of decree, its affair, its nobility, its greatness. What will bring you? Allah is alerting the mind. What will make you know? Because it is a hallmark, as I keep saying, of Ramadan. Many people sleep on this Laylatul Qadr. I don't understand. So Allah Jalla wa Ala in the next verse clarify to you what it is. He says, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, he says, Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. It is better than 1,000 months. Some of the ulama, they said it's about 83 or 84 years. It is better than 1,000 months. But what does that mean? Shaykh Uthaymeen is going to explain this. وَهَذِهِ الْجُمْلَةُ كَجَوَابِ لِإِسْتِفْهَامُ الَّذِي سَبَقَهَا. And he brings some Arabic grammar here when he says that this sentence is the answer for the interrogative sentence that preceded. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Allah says Laylatul Qadr خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. That is the night of decree is what? It is better than 1,000 months. He says, أي من ألف شهر ليس فيه ليلة القدر. He says, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, meaning that 1,000 months does not have in it the night of decree. All right, don't get that twisted here. He says, وَمَرَادَ بِالْخَيْرِيَّةِ هُنَا ثَوَابُ عَمَلَ فِيهَا. He said, what's intended by the virtuous or the goodness, all right, of that good here is the reward for the actions that are done therein. Okay, وَمَا يَنْزِلُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِيهَا مِنَ خَيْرٍ وَبَرَكَةٍ عَلَى هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ. All right, and whatever Allah has sent down therein from good and blessings upon this ummah, وَلِذَلِكَ كَانَ مِنْ قَامَهَا إِيمَانًا وَاحْتِسَابًا غُفْرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. He said, for that reason, whoever stands up in the month on that night, on the night of Laylatul Qadr, with complete iman and hoping for Allah's reward, he will be forgiven his previous sins. ثُمَّ ذَكَرَ مَا يَحْدِثُ فِي تِلْكَ اللَّيْلَةِ. Then Allah goes on to mention what will occur in that night. What would take place on that night? Allah says, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا. Pay attention now. The angels and the ruh. So that you don't want you to get this confused here. The ruh is an angel too. All right? That's Jibreel alayhi salam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically mentioned Jibreel separately, even though he's a part of the angels. Allah said the angels and the ruh. Okay? Now I want you to look at something here. The ruh is the one who have been sent to many of the prophets and messengers to give them the revelation. That was Jibreel alayhi salam. What greater honor to have is Jibreel coming down, right, during this night. All right, you have the prophets, you have the messengers who have met Jibreel, received the revelation. That's like we talked about before, the golden chain dealing with the Quran. The golden chain from the Quran is what? Allah to Jibreel to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's only 3 in the chain, right? Allah to Jibreel, Jibreel to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So imagine having the ruh come down by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says, "Ay tanzilu shay'an fa shay'an," meaning they will come down little by little. لِأَنَّ مَلَائِكَةُ سَكَانُ سَمَوَاتٍ. Because where is the residence for the angels? That's in the heavens, right? وَسَمَوَاتُ سَبْعَةٌ, right? The 7 heavens. فَتَنَزَّلُ مَلَائِكَةَ إِلَى أَرْضٍ شَيْئًا فَشَيْئًا. So they will be coming down, right? Gradually, little by little. حَتَّى تَمْلَأُ أَرْضٍ, until they fill up the earth. He says, وَنُزُولُ مَلَائِكَةَ فِي الْأَرْضِ عُنْوَانًا عَلَى رَحْمَةٍ وَخَيْرٍ وَبَرَكَةٍ. And they're coming down, the angels coming down to the earth is what? It's going to be filled with mercy, good, and blessings. وَلِهَذَا إِذَا امْتَنَعَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةَ مِنْ دُخُولِ شَيْءٍ كَانَ ذَلِكَ دَلِيلًا عَلَى أَنَّ هَذَا الْمَكَانُ الَّذِي امْتَنَعَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةَ مِنْ دُخُولِهِ قَدْ يَخْلُو مِنَ خَيْرٍ وَبَرَكَةٍ فَالْمَكَانُ الَّذِي فِيهِ سُرُرٌ. Pay attention to this. This is tremendous here. This is tremendous. So, he's saying to you that if the angels are coming down from the heavens, right, and they come in little by little, then that means that whatever is on the earth at that time is conducive for them to come, because they're not going to descend unless it's what? It's good, it's blessings, right? It's noble. It's an environment of what? It's a stable environment. It's something that have blessings. This is how they're going to come. So it's also, he says, it shows you a proof and an evidence that the angels don't come inside a place that is devoid of all of these attributes, devoid of all of these qualities, such as homes or houses that have pictures. The houses that have pictures in it, that have images in it, all right, of people, of things with souls. They don't come in it, these homes. They don't come in these places that are not filled with mercy and rahmah. So sometimes we have to realize this. We offend the angels, as the Prophet said, many numerous ahadith that are authentic, all right? Also, we know from the belief of the Muslims and authenticated hadith that the angels, Jibril and the other angels, were fighting along with the Prophet in the battle of Badr. Do you understand? So it's important for us to understand some of these things here. So he says, continue, he says here, so the angels will not enter a home that have in it pictures. يعني صورة محرمة, impermissible images. لأن صورة إذا كانت متنة في فراش مقدم فأكثر علماء على أنها جائزة. He said, as for pictures that's like, that don't possess any souls, like say you might got a picture of a seat, or a picture of a farash, like a couch, or a picture of some type of furniture, or something like that. These images and stuff like that, most of the ulama, they say it's permissible for a person to have those pictures. All right, he says, وعلى هذا, at any rate, he says, فلا تمنع ملائكة من دخول مكان. It does not prevent the angels from entering to that place. لأنه لا إن كان ذلك ممنوعا, because if they were prevented from coming in, then that place will become what? Prohibited. فملائكة تتنزل في ليلة القدر بكثرة, so that the angels on the night of Lail Qadr, they will come down in abundance. وَنُزُولُهُمْ خَيْرٌ بِبَرَكَةٍ, and they will come down with good and blessing. وَالْرُوحِ, and the ruh here is Jibril alayhi salam. قَصَّهُ اللَّهُ بِذِكْرِ شَرَفِهِ فَضْلِهِ. He said Allah Jalla wa Ala specifically mentioned Jibril by himself here, out of what? Out of honor and nobility to him. وَقَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. This is important to understand. Allah connects bi-idni, with his permission. Meaning by his command. So this lets you know that the angels cannot do what? Anything on their own. This is a proof of that. That they cannot do anything on their own. Do you understand that? They have to do it according to Allah Jalla wa Ala command. So bi-idni rabbihim, Allah said by his permission, in other words, by his command. They can't come on their own. The angels is not going to do nothing on their own. وَمَرَادَ بِإِذْنِ كَوْنِي. He says, and what meaning by, the meaning of idni here, permission here, is the universal permission. لأن إذن الله أي أمره ينقسم لقسمين. Now he's going to give us, he's taking us to school here. He's going to give us two benefits that we can extract from here. That when it comes to Allah's idn, meaning his permission, all right, being granted, then it falls under two categories. One category is a universal category, and the other category is a legislative category, okay? So as far as the universal category, and then, he says, as far as the legislative category, then is what Allah says, shara'u, legislatively, meaning shara'u lahum min ad-deen ma lam ya'dam bihi Allah, ya'dam. Okay, the word idnam here is in here. So he says, we have, they have legislated, shara'u lahum, legislated for them from their deen, that meaning they have. Allah says shara'u, right? They have legislated for them from their deen that which Allah have not granted them the permission to do so. Meaning that which not been legislatively from Allah Jalla wa Ala for them to do. لِأَنَّهُ قَدْ أَذِنَ بِهِ قَدْرًا وَفَقَدَ شَرَعَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Indeed, they have legislated something in the religion that was not legislated by Allah, meaning that it was legislated by other than Allah. لكن ليس بإذن الله شرعا. However, it is not Allah's legislative permission or that has been granted. إذن هذه الآية بإذن ربهم أي بأمره قدري. He says here, the idnam here in this verse, بإذن ربهم, meaning by his command قدري. من كل أمر. Keel, it said about the men here, it comes with the meaning of ba. Alright? أي بكل أمر مما يأمرهم الله به. meaning with every fear from that which Allah has commanded them with. وَهُوَ مِنْ مُبْهَمْ لَا نَعْلَمُ مَا هُوَ. And it is something that is unknown and we do not know what it is. Alright? لَكِنَّنَا نَقُولَ إِنَّ تَنَزَّلَ مَلَائِكَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُنْوَانَ عَلَى خَيْرٍ وَرَحْمَةٍ وَبَرَكَةٍ. So we do know that the angels coming down, they're coming down with what? Rahmah, mercy, barakah, blessings, and good. Alright? So we don't know exactly what all of the affairs they're going to come with, but we do know that they're coming with good. So if a person is caught during that night, imagine that blessed night. That's why we're going to get to the end of this verse, and you're going to see why you should stay up all of that night. A lot of people don't understand that, why you should stay up to catch that night. All right. He says, moving on to the next verse, he says, Salamun hiya. Jumlatu huna mukawwina min mubtada wa khabr. He's going to bring some grammatical points here, but let's move to the meaning of the verse. Hadiya layla salam. All right. He said, this night is no doubt full of security. وَوَصَفَهَا اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِالسَّلَامِ. Allah describes it with what? Meaning this night, with salam, with peace, security. لِكَثْرَ مَنْ يَسْلِمُ فِيهَا مِنَ الْآثَامِ وَعُقُوبَاتِهَا. Because there are going to be abundance of those therein on this night who are going to be safe and secure from sins and its punishments. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, مَنْ قَالَ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Whoever stands up for the night of Laylatul Qadr, iman and with complete belief, واحتساب and hoping for its reward, غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه, then his sins, his previous sins will be forgiven for him. ومغفرة الذنوب لا شك أنها سلامة من وبالها وعقوبتها. He says, so having forgiveness from one's sins, no doubt it contains that what? A security, right? And a safety from the destructions of those sins and the what? The punishment of those sins. He said, حتى مطلع الفجر. You see? So how long are they going to stay there? They're going to stay there up until Fajr. So why should you stay up? Why should you stay up? Why shouldn't you go to sleep during the night of decree? Because the angels are going to be there until Fajr. حتى مطلع الفجر. Okay? He said, أي تنزل ملائكة في هذه الليلة حتى مطلع الفجر. Meaning that the angels are going to descend during this night up until Fajr. أي إلى مطلع الفجر وإذا طلع الفجر انتهت الليلة القدر. So when Fajr come in, then Laylatul Qadr stops. Right, when Fajr come in, later to cut the stop. 10b. He says, so a point of notice here that you should take. أن يكون إن ليلة القدر في رمضان لكن في أي جزء من رمضان أو في أوله أو وسطه أو أخيره. And I think we covered some of this before in the pretty of Buloogh Muram, but he's mentioning something here that it had already preceded from our speech that the night of decree is in the month of Ramadan. However, which part from the month of Ramadan? Is it in the beginning or is it in the middle or is it in the end? And we already know now with it being at the end. He says we respond by saying that the Prophet ﷺ performed the i'tikaf in the first. For those who follow Buloogh Muram, we learned that what he did it from the hadith for Aisha, right? He used to do what? He used to do it in the first 10 days of Ramadan. Then it moves on to the middle. Taharriyan li Laylatul Qadr, looking for Laylatul Qadr, seeking it out. He says, then it was said to him, Innaha fi ashra awakir fa'atakir awashra, that it was said to him that it was in the last 10 nights, so then he did his i'tikaf in the last 10 nights. Therefore, for Laylatul Qadr fi ashra awakir min Ramadan. So Laylatul Qadr is in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Or fi ayyi laylatin minha. And which night is it from? Allahu a'lam. قَالَ تَكُونَ فِي لَيْلَةِ 21 أو في ليلة 30 أو فيما بينهما. I'm not going to read this part, brothers and sisters. I just want to read a little bit of the hadith that we're going over today. I'm not going to read that because that would take from the actual hadith in Buloogh Muram that we're going to get to, inshaAllah ta'ala, about what is the actual night of Laylatul Qadr, what can you expect. So from the hadith that we're going to read today, and then I'll be done inshallah ta'ala, is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, who he says that the أن الرجال من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أروا ليلة القدر في المنام في 7 الواكر فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أرى رؤيكم قد تتوع. He says قد توطعت في 7 الأواكر فمن كان متحرها فيتحرها في 7 أواكر متفق عليه. Narrated Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, some of the Prophet ﷺ companions saw in their dreams that Laylatul Qadr was among the last 7 nights of Ramadan. Hence Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, I see that your dreams agree with regarding to the last 7 nights. Therefore, whoever is to seek it should do so during the last 7 nights. Sheikh Salih Fawzan Hafidhullah comment on this tremendous hadith. Alright? On this tremendous hadith. By the way, for those who want to know, this is 575. The number is 575. Alright, on this tremendous hadith, He says, and I'm going to go to the meat of the sharh. He said this hadith is a clear evidence for the permissibility. No, he said this hadith is a clear evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored some of the believers, right, to see in their dreams that which will benefit them and other than it. All right, so sometimes, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that what? Dreams are 144 part of prophecy. So just because there wouldn't be no more messengers or prophets after the Prophet ﷺ doesn't mean that dreams still wouldn't go on. Some people will have dreams that will what? Will be actually true. Okay, so dreams is a form of prophecy, but that don't make you a prophet because you had a righteous dream or you had a true dream. But dream is 144 part of prophecy. He says here, Al-Wajh al-Rabi', he says the hadith is a clear evidence of the permissibility of acting according to righteous dreams. Okay, this hadith shows us the permissibility of acting according towards righteous dreams. He says, إِذَا دَلَّتِ الْقَرِينَ عَلَى صَدَقِهَا وَلَمْ تُخَالَفِ الشَّرْعِ, with the stipulation that what is connected, that when that righteous dream is connected to something being truthful and confirmed, and it does not oppose that which has been legislated by Allah and His Messenger. وَمِنَ الْقَرِينَةِ أَن تَتَّفِقَ الرُّؤْيَا عَلَى شَيْءٍ. All right, and from that thing which is connected is that that the dream agrees with that thing. فَهَذَا مِمَّا يَدُولَ عَلَى صِدْقِهَا. And this will also indicate, this will also be from that which will indicate its truthfulness. وَقَدْ قَالَ النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ. And indeed the Prophet ﷺ said, O people, إِنَّهُ لَمْ يَبْقَى مِن مُبَشِّرَاتِ النُّبُوَّةِ إِلَّا رُؤْيَا صَالِحَةً يَرَاهَا مُسْلِمٌ أَوْ تُرَى لَهُ. Now, this is the hadith I was talking about. The Prophet ﷺ said, O people, indeed, there لَمْ يَبْقَى مِن مُبَشِّرَاتِ النُّبُوَّةِ. There does not remain any glad tidings, any things that are good from prophethood, except the righteous dreams. And a Muslim see them, or it is shown to him. He says, the another point that can be extracted from this hadith is dalilun ala anna Laylatul Qadr fi Ramadan. The proof that Laylatul Qadr is in the month of Ramadan. Wa anna min harisa alayha fa innahu yataharraha fi sab'a awakir min. And that whoever is diligent seeking it out, then they should seek it out when? In the last nights. Last 7 nights. I know many of you might say, well, why did we do the 10 then? Here it's saying 7. Wait. That's in the next hadith, where it's going to move up. But wait. First is why? Because we're going out to dream. So look how Ibn Hajar is setting this up. And I don't know many people even know of this hadith, that the companions were actually shown in the dream that the night of decree was, what's the name? By the way, this is collected by both Bukhari and Muslim. He says also, he says, وَقَالَ وَارَدَ فِي حَدِيثَ عَيِشَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهَا. Indeed, it has been reported in the hadith of Aisha رضي عنها that she said, كَانَ رَسُولُ صلى الله عليه وسلم يجاور في العشر أواخر من رمضان. Okay, ويكون تحرر ليلة قدر في العشر أواخر من رمضان. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to seek out in the last 10 days of Ramadan, or the last 10 nights of Ramadan. He says, ويكون, and he says, so seek out the night of Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. وهذا يدل على أن مطلوب تحريها في جميع العشر. He says, so this hadith itself indicates and shows us that it is requested that you seek it out in all of the 10 nights. All right. ولا منافة بينه وبين حديث باب الدل على أن مطلوب تحريها في السبع أواخر. And he's going to answer your question right now. He said there is no contradiction between this hadith that we just stated from Aisha anha and the hadith that's in the chapter that we're reading right now, which indicates that one should seek it in the last 7 nights. وَيَجْمَعْ بَيْنَهُمَا بِمَا وَرَدَ عَنْ ابْنِ عُمَرَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهُمَا أَنَّ النَّبِيَّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ قَالَ. And he said we make harmony, we coincide, we consolidate between both of these narrations with another narration that is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar رضي عنهما, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Tamisuha fil ashra awakir." Seek for it, meaning the Laylatul Qadr, in the last 10 nighs. فَإِنْ ضَعُفَ أَحَدَكُمْ عَجَزَ فَلَا يُبْلَغُ. He says, فَلَا يُقْلَبَنَّ عَلَى سَبْعِ الْبَوَاقِي. He says, so if any one of you are weak or unable, then فَلَا يُقْلَبَنَّ عَلَى سَبْعِ الْبَوَاقِي. Then he should not be overcome by what? Looking for it in the last 7 nights. وَوَجْهُ الْجَمْعِ أن الجميع ليالي أشهر محلا لتحرر ليلة القدر. He said, and the point of reference of the consolidation between those two narrations with this narration is that the جميع ليالي الأشهر is the gathering of all of the 10 nights, which is a muhall, which is a place for seeking out Laylatul Qadr. لكن أرجها سبع بواقي. However, it is hoped that it can be found in the last 7. He says, وَقَالَ ذَكَرَ Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He said, indeed, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentioned that أَنَّهُ يَنْبَغِي لِلْمُؤْمِنِ أَنْ يَتَحَرَّ لَيْلَةَ الْقَدْرِ فِي جَمِيعِ لَيَالِ الْعَشْرِ, that it is befitting and suitable for the Muslim that they seek out the night of decree in all of the 10 nights. All right, and he says, لأن جميع الليالي العشر قد تكون أوتر باعتبار نقصان الشهر أو تمامه. He says because all of the 10 nights it can be قد تكون أوتر, it can be in the winter, in the odd nights, or it can odd nights, which is نقصان من الشهر, or it can be a completion of it. He says فوتر باعتبار ما مضى من الشهر ليلة 21 وعشرين. He says, so the witr is in consideration of what had passed from the month during the 21st night, the 23rd night, the 25th night, the 27th night, and the 29th night. These are the odd nights of the last 10 nights. These are the odd nights of the last 10 nights. وَقَدْ يَكُونَ بِاعْتِبَارِ مَا بَقِيَّ. And he says, indeed, consideration can be given to what remains. كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لتسعة تبقى لسبعة تبقى لخامسة تبقى لثلاثة تبقى. The Prophet ﷺ said, 9 remain, 7 remain, 5 remain, 3 remain. إذا كان شهر 30 فتاسع تبقى ليلة 22. He says, so if the month comes to 30 days, then the 9 remain, 9 days, 9 nights meaning remain, meaning the 20. اثنين وعشرين, the 22nd, وسابعة تبقى ليلة 24, and the 7th remain from the 24th, وخامسة تبقى ليلة 6, and the 5 remain from the 26th, or the night for that, and وثالثة تبقى ليلة من 8 from the 28th. And Allah Jalla wa Ala, He knows best. So this is a beautiful hadith, and that's what we wanted to bring today. Inshallah ta'ala, just remember, brothers and sisters, do not sleep on the hallmark of Ramadan. Try your best to eat light, all right? Don't eat heavy. Do not eat heavy. I know that we're not at the masjid. Many of us, unfortunately, we're praying home. Don't eat, do not. You don't have to pray the entire night, all right? So many of us, some of us don't know a lot of Quran. Some of us are not proficient enough to read from the Mus'haf. Okay, that's understandable. That don't mean you can't do nothing. What you could do is you can do dhikr. You can listen to lectures. You can read. Space it out, all right? Offer 2 rak'ats. You don't have to do them all in order. After Isha, you can offer 2 rak'ats. Stop. Take a break. Read. Dhikr. Offer dua. Supplicate. And we're going to get to the dua that some of the dua that are reported that you should say if you reach Laylatul Qadr. All right? And don't be fooled to think that only the odd nights is what you're looking for. You want to be diligent in all 10, because the Prophet ﷺ was diligent in all 10. He wasn't diligent just in the odds and slacking in the evening. That's not how it is. So what you want to do is you say, okay, I'm going to go through these last 10 nights, but I'm going to stay up. So you're going to adjust your sleeping arrangements a little bit different. All right? You're going to try to stay up till Fajr. That's the goal. That's the Gaya. Stay up till Fajr. Do some reading. Pray too. And then you know what? After you read, you do this night, you feel yourself doing it, go back, pray another 2. All right? You can do that. You don't have to pray 4. You don't have to do all of that. You can space it out. And then what you're going to find yourself doing, as long as you make sure before Fajr, you offer 1 witr prayer. All right? So if you only made 5 rak'ats throughout that whole night, but you read, you offered dua, you made dhikr, you know, tasbih, certain things like that, la bas. But long as you end it with an odd night. So make sure that you end it with, an odd rakat. Make sure you end it with an odd rakat. All right? And keep the count of the numbers you're doing. If you got a family, that's even better. Because if you got a family, then the family can pray along with you. All right? Have them pray along with you. You know, and y'all offer salat, you'll get more close to the book of Allah. But think about what we went over today. The virtues of Laylatul Qadr. Who don't want that? Your previous sins forgiven. We know how shout out we was before Ramadan came in. You know, we ask Allah Jalla to forgive us, and this is a golden opportunity for that. So inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who seek out, like the Salaf sought out the Laylatul Qadr. They wasn't they wasn't lazy when it came to seeking out Laylatul Qadr. We shouldn't be lazy when it comes to seeking out Laylatul Qadr. Inshallah ta'ala, may Allah grant us to check it this month. And carry it this month, inshallah ta'ala. Whatever we said that was incorrect in our translation is definitely for ourselves. And the shaitan, whoever says correct is from Allah, Jalla wa Ala, subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakallahu khair.